Sure, I'm looking as beautiful as ever. You looks good actually. Take that. Uh, maybe, maybe just straighten up our device. Not bad. Right. Okay. Looking good. Sorry, I didn't put my phone on charge last night. The boy had it. So I'll have to Q&A, laptop Q&A again. Uh, that's okay. Crikey, I need a haircut. Um, okay, so today we I think I mentioned a couple of weeks ago and thought we'd get to it today. Um, some bit of speed work. Okay, now ultimately there's a shit ton of ways we can do this. There's uh, it's really difficult to explain because what happens is that there's what I try to teach you guys and get an understanding of, right, is a realistic expectation. Okay, so what can we do? What are we comfortable doing? What is our capability so that we have an understanding, right? So when we do a session like this, as you'll see, there's three sort of separate parts of it. Okay, and the first four, we're just going to start to build our ratings, build our speed. Okay, now there's no ratings on the board, right? Except what I would like us to think about is race pace. Okay, so what is race pace, right? That's a question that you have to ask yourselves. Now, obviously, it varies because of what we're trying to do as individuals. Obviously, the general gold standard is like a 2K, right? Everyone wants to know their 2K so they can see what they can do with the rest of the world. Okay. And so, what is your rating for like a 2K? Okay. What could you sustain for the period that you think it's going to take you to do 2,000 meters? Okay. And so that's what this session is about. So by the time we get up to here, right, to the last four, we want to be able to build it into the line and we want to be able to maintain that rating as efficiently as possible to hold our speed. Okay. That's the goal of the session. Okay. So the first four, we want to think about just building our speed, building our movement, finding how easily and relaxed we can be by tapping it along, right? And seeing if we can get up towards that race pace. Okay. The second part is that we sort of combine that build with that sustain and we build it up. We start to figure what sort of pressure, okay, what sort of movement speed we have to create to be able to sustain that rating and that speed. Okay. And then in the last one, we're getting it to speed and we're focusing on how easily and efficient we can get that movement. Okay. Because that's ultimately the goal is when we're doing, it's going to be hard, right? 2Ks aren't easy. They are probably one of the toughest tests you can do in the world. Okay. But the fact is that we have to try and figure a way that we can take that cup of energy and pour it out for that amount of time for the 2K, so that the last stroke is the cup being emptied. Okay. And that's the goal. You know, sometimes we pull the cup out too fast. Sometimes we don't do it too much in the middle, right? And then we leave it till the end. And it's all of those things that we need to figure out ourselves as to how we do it as an individual. Okay, how you do it, how I do it, how someone else does it. And that's really the key to it. Okay, is just figuring out for you what works. Okay. And hence why there's no ratings on the screen, because ultimately, we talk often about that balance between how much power is needed to create to get our numbers and how much movement we need to create that number. Okay. And where do we intersect, right? Got an axis over here and an axis over here. We've got rating here, we've got power here. Okay. High rating means low power, right? High power probably equals low rating. It's very difficult to get both of them up here. Okay. Now we want to shift that intersection as high as that way as we possibly can, right? But it is an individual thing per person because some of us are bigger than others, some of us are younger, more energy, we're more flexible. So it's really just figuring out what works for you. Okay. And that's why in a session like this, it's about figuring that out. Okay. Moving, going, okay, maybe I will try a little bit more rating and a little bit more speed and not think so much about, really powering it that hard. I'm going to think about fast legs, right? The speed of my body coming through, relaxing the hands around the finish, brushing that body, tap it along, tap, 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 tap. Okay, perfect. And then you might want to try and say, well, actually, I have been doing a lot of weights in the gym in the last few months, blah, blah, blah. Maybe I can focus a little bit more on that drive sequence and the power through that middle. Okay. But you still, at the end of the day, both ways of doing it, whether you're really focused on the energy that you're expending on it, okay, or being moving really quickly, we still have to find the efficiency to last us that period of time. Okay. So that's what we want to have. We don't want to be getting, especially in these ones here, we don't want to be getting to the last 20 seconds going, fucking hurry up and finish, pal. Okay. We want to be like, okay, I've really got to focus on my breathing and stuff so that if you had to carry it on for another minute, or so, that you could probably manage it. Okay. Dying, but managing. Okay. And so that's really the point of today is to understand, right? To find our own realistic expectations around what we can do. Okay. So the first four, we're going to build it up. We're going to be sub race pace rating, I would say. Like throughout the period, we want to be starting to hit sort of, I guess, race pace towards these ones here, probably just up, like 6, 7, 8. Okay, very dependent because if you're pretty warm, blah blah blah, and you're feeling fit, really energetic, you might get there sooner. Okay, but remember that especially in the first 3, 4, 5, 6, we're focused on the movement speed. We're not just going to rip it up to rating for the sake of getting it up there. Okay, where there's a process to get it up there. Okay, yes, we're still going to have to work. We're still going to be using that energy, etc. Right? But this here, because we've done this part here first, this is where the fatigue levels are coming up. Okay, the stress levels are getting up, energy levels, decreasing, whatever. And so this is where if we can really focus on those four and we can do 4 really good minutes of getting that base speed and holding it and maintaining it, focused on the flywheel, focused on our efficiency, our relaxation, our breathing, all of that sort of thing. Okay, we can tick those boxes and go, fuck, you know what? That was actually really good. Okay. Because that's what we want. Just a little bit of confidence coming out of this to be like, you know what? It was great. Really focused on this part of my stroke and it made me think about certain things. I could feel certain things. I can identify certain things. Okay. And it really will tick some good boxes in your own confidence. Okay. Confidence and capabilities, realistic expectations are the absolute key, right? To give you that confidence going into any sort of pieces because you can be like, I've done it in training. Too often, we don't do enough training at a certain level or above to give us that confidence. And I hear it all the time. People going, I might be able to do this, right? Whereas if you go, look, all my training points to the fact that I'm going to hit 7 minutes, and you're like, perfect. So that's your target. Everything around that, the time, the speed, the energy, whatever else is targeted towards that. And that's what we need to be able to have here so that when we're doing it, okay, and you might be slipping a little bit, whatever, and you're like, no, that's fine, that's fine. I know I'm still here, I'm still here. Okay. And then you can think about the certain parts which help it. Time ticks down, meters go down. Fuck, we're getting close to the end. Here we go, finish it off, bang. Okay. And that's where you can get that confidence from. Okay. So rock and roll, 230s. Yep. Good. Bro, love it. It's exactly right. Whatever you can do is what we're after today. Okay. So we'll warm up. We'll just jump into, we might build a little bit in that sort of end of the warm up, and then we'll just jump straight into it. Okay. Perfect. Just let me finish my copy. This is also another session where you can probably play with drag factor. Okay. As I've always said, that it can be fixed or you can slightly adjust it. Okay. But I'll leave that there so I can see the beauty. Righty ho. Okay. Starting off really nicely, patient. Even this first part, think about the connection and the relationship between the hands, the feet, and that seat. Okay. Nice, smooth, continuous motion. Okay. As we just allow our bodies to loosen up, get limber. Nice relaxation in the hands. Play some piano fingers for a little bit. Okay, good. Now, once we start warming up, we're all different. We can start to feel the application or the pressure, right? Starting to build just a little bit every few strokes. Oh, excuse me. Nice and smooth. Okay, good. Okay, nice and supple with our body movements. Take the time here to feel our machine, our recoil. That's nice. That movement as we press, we feel the hands being left out the front, that hang under those armpits. The drive of that body go through that stroke. Nice. Okay, even now as we're starting to continue this build, remember to try and feel a continuous movement on that drive, okay, an overlapping of the forces away from a disjointed sort of leg, body, arm sort of feeling, okay? Try, obviously, mold them into a smooth transition. Okay, lovely. Okay, good. Okay, so for the next minute, we'll just practice this build, okay? As we press, we add a little bit more, we create more freedom in the arm, okay? So moving in. And just over this next minute, just feel an increase. And with the feet increases, the hands increase. Okay? The flywheel's getting quicker. We'll just move a little bit quicker than it. Okay, when you're building. You're just tapping it along. Right, take it down. So I got to about 28. Okay. Really just thinking about a little bit extra, a little bit. Okay. Not huge amounts. Still knowing that I can keep going to make it a little bit quicker. Okay. So we'll do that again. Okay, so we'll just firm it here. Okay, so think about accelerating, hand speed, okay, and just get on top of the flywheel, okay? Right, building. Now, every few strokes, tapping, hand speed. Okay, good. Breathe, stay loose. Take it down. Okay, so getting above 30 there. Okay, so all we really need to do for the warm up here, because we're not going to obviously jump straight into anything sort of higher than that. Okay, but we've started to kickstart our physiology. Okay, the body starting to prepare for what we're going to put it through. So just firm for a few here. Breathe it out. All right, perfect. Okay, gonna be a sweaty one. Okay, perfect. So remember our segments. Okay, those first four. We'll look to build it with efficiency. Okay, starting to get the pressure, tap it along. Okay, the second one, once we're up into that sort of fifth, sixth. Okay, we want to see a slight progression, slight. Okay, between each one, just look. If the first one you get to 30 rating. Okay, second one, let's try and get it to 31, 32. Perfect. Third one, let's see if we can get it a little bit quicker. Find out how do we make it a little bit quicker without overdoing it. Okay. So then when we start getting up to here, we can build it quicker. Okay. Now, with this first segment, if it takes you 40 seconds to get up to that rating, don't care. Okay. Let's try and aim for about 30. Okay. So let's think about building, 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 and whatever we're at a certain point, right? I'll call it, and let's just hold. Okay, let's just maintain. And then once we get up into that sustained part, we want to take sort of 15 to 20 seconds. Okay, and then by the time we get up to here, we want to be building into the line, and by 10 seconds, we want to be on our speed, on our pace, on our racing, bang. Okay. So, as I say, these workouts are really good because we're not just bashing shit out, right? We are bashing shit out because it's going to fucking, it's going to sting. It's going to be hard. But we've got a process and we're identifying what we're trying to achieve. We're doing something through the way so that we can look back on the session and go, fucking that one real good. Okay. Oh, that one I just didn't quite get into the rhythm well enough. Okay, perfect. Rather than this isn't a session where, like we will do them where we just go, right, we're going to do 12 1 minute on, 1 minute off, and we're trying to hit pace the whole time. Right. And we're seeing what our fade is. Now that's more of a anaerobic threshold / lactate tolerance type session. Okay. Whereas this is an understanding and a learning session. Okay. Perfect. Right. Let's rock and roll. So select new workout, intervals time. The minute's already there. Chuck that 1 minute rest time, leave it flashing. Hmm. Okay. Too much dust in the arena at the moment. Plus, it's winter here. Going to get a cold soon. You can feel it. Okay. Let's press that check box. Okay. We're on screen, ready to go. It's rock and roll time. Okay. Righto. Okay. Build this first one. Airy. Attention. Go. Okay. Take the time to feel the elasticity. Okay. Good movement speed. Good tap here. And now hold this rhythm. Breathing in on the drive. Staying loose. Staying relaxed. Hang. Okay, good. Okay. So really good one. Good start. Okay, so let's focus on this one, right? We'll build it in. We don't have to build it in like we're going to up here, okay? But we'll start freeing it up in about 10 seconds. Okay, move. Okay, so free it up now. Moving in now. Okay, so remember, be elastic. Don't worry if it feels short, because we can extend it as we go. Okay, roll in. You can press. Okay, yeah. Now hold the rhythm. Breathe. Okay. Sit back. Arm pull. Oh. Okay, it's not. A little bit quicker, a little bit more rating, a little bit more pressure. Okay. I'd be loose in this recovery. Keep it good. Even though we don't have to focus horrifically on technique, try and get into your length. Just helps flush lactic acid and stuff out, okay? So, looking for a little bit more speed here. Okay, building, moving in. Now, okay, building that. A little bit more. Okay, come on. I built that one very easily. Okay, now, get there. Be efficient. Hang and brush the body. Hang speed. Speed in, speed out. Good. Oh. I built that one real fast. It felt good. Okay, so focus on your feeling. Focus on this ease of movement. Okay. Where can we be efficient? Where can we be patient? Okay. Get the speed around the back. Roll in, body puts the brakes on. Okay. We don't need to think about slowing into the front. Hey, our body position is going to do that for us. Okay. So building this, very close to race pace now. Okay. So freedom. Just take a little bit more time to build this. Okay, and speed. Pick up the flywheel. Okay, yeah. Now, accelerate. There it is. Okay. Yeah. Long arms. Open your mouth. Good. Okay. Okay, so we've worked on that 4. Nice build pattern. Okay. Identifying how to get the speed up. Okay. So let's use what we just learned. Okay. Build into this within that sort of 15 to 20 seconds, and then really focus on sustainability. Okay. Build. Ready. So feel. Tap. Flywheel's getting quicker. Freedom. Yep. Now, hang. Swing. Right. Sustain. Good. Breathe. Feet and hands. In through. Arm press. Good. Okay. So keep thinking about how we get there. Okay. Nice press. Accelerate the body. Flywheel up. Tap along. Okay. I'm roughly about 34 rating. Okay. Feel that's about my race pace at the moment. Okay. Third. Build. Now elastic. Okay. Keep going. Just a little bit. Heat stroke. Tap. 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 There it is. Okay. Now hang. Push the body back. Okay. Relaxation. Little ratio. Good. Open the mouth. Good. Hey, lovely. Okay, really good. Okay, we're down the other side of the hill now. So these next two, still with that element of build, efficiency, okay, just maintain the speed and start identifying what speeds you're doing at that rating, okay, build. And now, okay, elastic with me. Pull up your face, okay, feel the drive, hang, okay, and breathe. Now identify, tap, okay, breathe, hang, push, release, brush the body, tap along. Okay, good. Okay, so really identifying, feel that time, really look to hold the relaxation here, okay, because the fatigue of the previous work is starting to slip in. So remember, hold the focal points, okay, build, moving in, yeah, stay loose, brush the body, release the hands, good, okay, that's it, relax the face, out of the shoulders, drive the body, one smooth drive, so, so, tap, finish in front, good, okay, really good. Now, we'll bring those two segments of the workout together. Okay, we're up to speed. We've probably found a rating. Okay. So now, how efficient can we maintain that? Okay. So building to the line. Within 10 seconds, we want to be up. Boom. Don't muscle it though. Go. Yeah. No. Okay, breathe. Now look for our rhythm. Sustainable. Okay, breathe. Under the capper. Relax it. Okay, hands. Jaw past. Brushing away. Releasing around. Inertia. Open them up. Good. Okay, we're starting to feel the pinch, but we've done a lot of work to get to this point, okay? And it should be more of a, like an internal, like touching, like, oh, rather than a physical, my muscles aren't going to handle this, okay? Think about your heart, your brain, stay loose, okay? Right, free to go. Turn, go, yeah. Middle. Hang, okay, breathe, relax the face. Now just maintain the flywheel. Work, rest. Work, rest. Yeah. Come on. Yeah. Hold. Hey, lovely. That's a good one. I like that one. Okay. Remember, when we get it to speed, when you hear me say, like, work, rest, yes, there's work to maintain the speed of the drive and the flywheel, okay? But make sure it's not tense. Once we get around here, in and out, roll forward, just compress naturally, bang, on to the next one, okay? Two more to go. Burn, building. Now, let's stick. That's it. Hands away. Good. Feel the rhythm. Do your own rating. Rhythm to maintain. Good. One through. Step it along. Maintain. Lovely. That one felt good too. Okay. On the last one, we're not going crazy. We're not trying to break records here. Okay. Let's really ingrain what we've done in this session into ourselves. Okay. Take the confidence out of the work we've just done. Okay. Breathe, relax, free speed. Okay. Build. Okay. Be elastic. Moving in. Now, elastic. Okay. Hang. We're on top of the flywheel. Push and swing. Release in front of the body. Brush the body. Okay. Now, free speed. Work rest. Elastic. Don't overreach. Body compress. Okay, tap along. Here we go. Hold. Breathe. Right through. Right, perfect. Okay, great session. How about you guys? I liked my numbers. Okay, so focus on ourselves here. We warm down. Okay, just in your own time, hit that menu button. Okay, save everything. And go back and have a look. Hey, it'll be a good session to be able to look at the individual segments and be able to pick up on things that you felt better with. Okay, some might have been disjointed, others might have been great. Okay, but the feedback's there for you. Okay, but really good session, as I said before, for you to think about your own capability. Okay, giving you a relatively good expectation of what you think you can do. Okay, and that's why we're not completely fucked here, because we're probably hitting some really nice numbers, right? Because it's only a minute, but the idea, right, if I put this into a stress score, right? You're I'll try and explain this in the best way possible, but if it was stress on your body, right? If it was a 2K, the first minute should feel like about 80%. Okay. The second minute could start climbing to like 83, right? And then it goes to 86. So we're roughly around 90% of like capacity halfway through, where we're like, mate, like 100% stress is you fucking basically want to pass out, right? And it's like, I've got nothing more to give. And then from there, if we can stay relaxed in our demeanor, right, and stay relaxed in our head, then the body's stress is going to continue. That third 500 starts going to 93, 94, 95, 96. So the last minute or two we top out at that 100%. Okay. And that's from a body's perspective in terms of its physiology and the output that we're giving. Okay. And the fatigue build on the side, which is, that combined is what I would accumulate to like the stress. But obviously, our brains create an element of stress on top of it by how we think, right? You start slipping a number, you're like, fuck, I'm slowing down, right? Brain starts putting a bit of stress fucking hormones around. You start getting tight or tense, right? Rather than accepting, loosening up, thinking, right? And that cognitive thinking that we need when we're physically under stress, okay, is the psychology of learning, right? And that's why in a session like today, it's about training the two aspects, the psychology of ourselves and the physiology of our body, okay? And if we can do that, we can manage these stressful situations better, okay, by having that understanding. And as I said before, by learning from a past experience, which is today, okay? And then from there, we can have a realistic expectation and a confidence in our capabilities because of a past experience, okay? And that's what training does. That's why when you're doing pieces and you're training and you do warm-up stuff, you get an idea of what you can do rather than just training at slow rating and then someone saying, oh, hey, let's do a 2K. You're like, oh, well, fuck, I got no idea what the hell I'm going to do. Okay. And that is the real specifics behind a good training program, right? Physiologically adapted, but also having the psychology on top of it to give you guys an understanding about what's going to happen, how you're going to feel, okay? What you need to be thinking about. Teaching that side of it is one thing that never really gets taught well enough when people are training, especially on the rowing machine, okay? But in a lot of things, because a lot of people have probably never been to that extent, okay, never been that far. And so for me to give some input into it, right, I feel is very, very beneficial to the whole scheme of things. Okay. Perfect. I don't feel too bad after that. Which is what we want, right? We don't, as I said before, we don't want to be finishing this session flat on our backs, right? We're not doing 12 1-minute pieces at pace as that sort of tolerance session. Okay. This is very much driven towards the understanding, okay, and getting competence, right? Getting that expectation and the confidence as well, right? To be able to do it and to know what's going to happen. Okay. And especially in a session like this, right? I think it was the 10th. I felt really good and I was speeding it up a bit and the numbers were great. And then I just extended a little bit and I saw my rating come down a tad, but my speed stayed the same. And I was thinking, well, that's okay. Am I working any harder? No. And I made sure I kept the rhythm and then it started to flash between the two ratings, which is fine because it's obviously like a half rating. But I kept that rhythm, kept that speed. So it didn't matter if I was on the 32 or the 33. It just felt easy at either or. Okay. But I knew that if it started to wane, then the 32, I'd probably be using too much energy. The 33, I could speed it up. Okay. But this is up here. Okay. Learning and understanding. Okay. Sammy's going to do this one for the morning. Michael's back, but I missed the beginning. Out behind, we'll do this after. Good. Starting now. Right. Thanks, Michael. Halfway through, you were ready to be sick. Yeah, had to back off. You maybe pushed it a bit hard, maybe, but hey, it's all a training thing, right? And however this ended up for you, you learnt from it, right? Which is exactly what we have to do. Okay. I pulled better numbers easier than I thought I could. Great workout. I needed this kind of workout to get better understanding myself. Rich. Exactly. Okay. And that's why, as I say, there's a time and a place for different workouts and different programs, different times a year, different this, different that. Uh, and not everything has to just be all about like specific numbers, hitting targets, blah blah blah. It's a lot of it is about this, right? That psychology of it, and really being able to get that understanding. So well done. When you say extend, do you mean that you lengthen your stroke? Uh, the extend is just a. We used to come up with a lot of words about different things, right? And one, one that we used to talk about a lot when we were doing things is called stride, right? Because you want to feel like, like if you watch Usain Bolt's just got this massive stride, but he's light on his feet when he does it, right? And it's very much like this. And with extend, it's got two sort of reasons. It's if you can extend your body, right, and you feel like you're reaching, right, but you're not actually like physically reaching. You've just got this thing like you've got an extension of your body, right? And it's I probably should have explained a bit more. It's like you're extending that handle out, right? And so if I use the terminology like get the hands away and get the hands as far out as you can, right? It's like I'm forcing you to do it. Does that make sense? Like get your hands away, like you hear, get the hands away, blah blah blah. Now, if I say extend, what I'm meaning is that you want to extend that body, extend that handle out, and extend that body into a nice position, right? So it's got a slightly different meaning to it, okay? And extension means more length, right? Which is exactly what I want. But if like if someone's saying get more length, right? I'm not good with the grammar and all English. It's not a you know what I mean? It's like it's a forceful sort of connotation to do it, right? Rather than extend as like your own brain saying, "Oh, okay, I'm going to extend myself, so I'm going to try and lengthen little parts of it." And it's more of a positive thought process than it is like a forceful. Okay, so I hope that makes partial sense. Beautiful workout. Thanks, Julie. It was hard towards the end, more confident in the first half, and then the fatigue caught up with me and had to really give myself a pep talk to get through and keep the pace and speed. Pins. Yes, right, perfect. And that's the thing is it's very we when we do sessions like this, right, we've done 12 minutes, and I'm pretty sure if you went in and added your time or had a look at your like memory, right, and went, okay, because the top one should be your average split, right? And that's your average for the whole thing. And then you'll see them, the first ones might be a bit slow and then it progressively goes down. So you've just done 12 minutes at that average split, which is very intense, right? It's right up there with pace, and you've done 12 minutes of it. Now I know there's a break in between, but as I've said before, if you talk to any psychologist about it, having breaks in between things because it's intervals, it's a training thing for the body, but it's most times easier to continue going because the body doesn't have that time to like try and recover and then try and go again and then try and recover and then try and go again, right? It's a really catch 22, which is, as I say, I've heard it explained to me before a couple of times. I have to try and get a refresher course on it, but to be able to hold that sort of numbers for that period of time, even though there's breaks in it, is very, very good. Okay. And so that's what you want to be able to look at and say, great, right? And then look at it and say, okay, let's say number 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I shouldn't say I was going conservative, but I was looking for some nice, easy rhythm, and I'm just under 140. So I'm like, that's good, right? I'm happy with that because of where I feel like I am at the moment. And so that type of thing is whatever numbers you're getting, it can start to give you an idea. Okay. And that's the whole thing. It's just got to give you an understanding so that you can take away from this, right? And one of the biggest things with all the work that we do on here, and the longer that you do it, and depending on what your goals are, is that through all the different ratings and different speeds, 4 different times, which is fucking, it's crazy. There's so much things to do, right? Is we want to have a rough idea, variation, right? Half an hour consistent at 20 minutes. Bang, here's the numbers, right? 3 10 minutes at 20. We're probably going to be at the higher end of that speed, right? Because we're going to have a break, we're focused, we're probably pushing it a bit more consciously. We know we've got to just work it down and we get to have a drink, blah, blah, blah. If we were going to do an hour, probably going to be closer to this end, right? So you see what I'm saying. And that's the whole thing, is depending on the time, the intervals, whatever else, each rating, you should have a rough idea, right? So that all of those segments, right? So if we took it as a four split standard deviation, right? It overlaps each other. We'll go this way. It overlaps each other all the way up to race pace, right? Depending on the time, the effort, blah, 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 all of that sort of thing on the way up. But we have this rough idea as we go through, so that when we're doing our own training by ourselves, and you go, I'm going to do one of your experiments, 20, 22, 24, 22, 20. You just have a rough idea of the numbers that you can hit so that you can look for that consistency at that pace, right? Which gives you an idea, because then you can say, okay, I'm hitting 2 minute splits at 24. Great. I like it. Perfect. Right. And then I'm down to sort of 2 3, 2 4, down to 2 5, 2 6, whatever. Bang. That's great. Okay. And that's the whole idea with something like this as well. It's just identifying. Okay. And we have to be able to identify to ourselves. Okay. So that's us for today. I got to get back and do some work at the Reno. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to have to get onto the PGA and see how Fox is doing. Looks like Scotty Scheffler's going to win though, but that's all good. Keep up the good work, team. Great session. You can always revisit this one. Do it slightly different. Okay. Learn. We want to learn about ourselves. We want confidence in our capabilities, but we also need a realistic expectation. Okay. As I said, physiology, psychology, they do have a very, very big relationship on this machine, right? We can have all the confidence in the world. We haven't done the training. Okay. We've done all the training. And then when we get under pressure and we lose the numbers, we go and we revert back to fucking tugging on it, trying to work harder, and we blow to pieces, right? And so we've lost the psychology of it. Okay. Hence why when we work it together here, great combination, works perfectly, job done. Okay. Right. Perfect. Thanks, team. I'm out. Have a good week. I may, I may have to do a recording for next week. I'll double check, but I've just had a couple of things come up on the weekend, and I might not get back in time. So I'll keep in touch, but there will be something up no matter what. Okay. Perfect. Thanks, team. We'll catch you later. Peace out.